Okay. Rep. Burlison says enough is enough. Says it's time to start subpoenaing people. He says he's going to add names to the list. Says he's got to shake it up. Is this something that's actually going to happen, or is it a little more talk? And he's not the only one talking about subpoenas and who should be subpoenaed. Eric Davis, who Luna forgot who that was, she was sitting next to him not too long ago, he gave some names of who he thinks should be subpoenaed. So I guess the video itself today is going to be about the subpoenas, who's going to get subpoenaed, should be anybody gets subpoenaed, will anybody get subpoenaed, and if they do, will they actually say anything anyway? Let's start with Burlison. This is what he said, and he said it to, I believe he said it to Knapp, but I'm not sure. Let's double check here. Take a look at this.
What did you think of George Knapp here naming some names today?
I've got some names I want to go over with you. I've got some names I want to go over with you, people that we're looking at potentially subpoena.
Well, I will help add some names to that list.
So are you serious about subpoenaing names? Like Luna said that
That's what I was requesting.
Yeah.
That's what I look at. Again, I think we've had enough talk. It's time to bring the people in. It's time to shake things up. And otherwise, nothing's going to break loose. It's just going to continue to be the status quo.
Okay, so now here's the thing. Now, that particular video seemed to take place around the hearing. Now, obviously, a lot has happened in the country over the last 2 weeks from when that interview looks like it took place. That whether or not that is still something he's thinking about doing, whether or not his office is still focused on that, whether or not his office was still focused in general. Let's take the statement itself. The statement itself is like things got to happen in order for things to be, shaken loose. You really have to shake the trees, as he said, because there's no way you're going to get anybody to do it unless you subpoena them. Now, the question is, are you going to get the approval of it? Now, if you go back to the video that we had the other day and what Matt Laszlo said, if all the stuff that Laszlo was saying inside of his report, that even if they did subpoena people, that most likely they would be blocked and you wouldn't really get approvals unless Mike Johnson or other people in higher positions of power decided it was time to do that. So in theory, the subpoenas are great if you can make it happen. But the other question is, I don't know. I don't trust people to not lie under oath. I don't know about you guys, but is that something that can happen? I don't know. But then Eric Davis was talking about who he thinks should be subpoenaed.
Who should the House Oversight Subcommittee subpoena? And the options are Admiral Wilson, Admiral Bobby Ray Inman, the Lockheed Martin CEO, Glenn Gaffney. Those are the options. If you could.
The admirals are a waste of time. Glenn Gaffney, I'd kick his ass and all the way to Washington, D.C., to the House Oversight Committee hearing room in the Rayburn House office building. He would be the guy that under oath would have. Well, here's the thing. He's going to say this is at a level of classification that I can't testify to in an open hearing. I can do it in a classified setting, like in a SCIF in the O'Neill House Office building. The problem is it'll be waived unacknowledged special access program. His clearances will have to be reactivated for him to testify at that level, and he'll have to be given the need to know, and all that is done through what's called the DD 254 form that gives him authorization to get clearance and need to know, and that'll be. Let's put it this way. The executive branch does not have to cooperate with the legislative branch on these matters. That's the problem. The legislative branch, I know they have an oversight role, but the issue is they're battling an executive branch issues and agencies for which they can only control the power of the purse. And just to get Gaffney in there, Gaffney will be able to waffle and avoid and divert because he is trained to do that, especially for waived unacknowledged special access programs.
Got you.
He will frickin' waffle. But he would be my first target. I wouldn't waste my time with admirals and generals. I'd go for him. But it's just that he will be bound. Okay, he's also bound by the presidential emergency action directives. So the presidential emergency action directives will probably clam him up, as well as the fact that the president of the United States also has presidential executive privilege that he could exert on Gaffney, since Gaffney was employed by the CIA. I think he's retired now, but when he was employed, that's in the executive branch. So the president can exert executive privilege, which means anything that Gaffney was doing is covered under executive privilege. But more importantly, it could be covered under the presidential emergency action directives, of which are never released to Congress under any circumstance. Never.
This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day. PrizePicks, being right, can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. It's football season, man, right around the corner. And so here's an example of what you can do. So if you want to take some of your favorite players and you say, hey, Barkley, is it going to be more or less than 1 rushing touchdown? Joe Burrow, more or less than 2.5 passing touchdown. How about Josh Allen? You're going to get more or less 270 passing yards. What do you think? Use your skills. You know that you're doing it, and you know you're talking about it with your buddies. Well, now let's get some cash on this thing. So PrizePicks, it's simple to play. You pick more or less 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. PrizePicks puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, they're safe, secure. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Use PrizePicks. It's the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. I've been using them for quite a bit, and I am beyond satisfied. You got to download that app today and use DTE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code DTE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. So Eric Davis kind of says the fear that we all have, even when you hear Burlison talking about it. He said it. Yeah, sure. This is who I'd go after. But this is what he's going to say. He's trained to be able to either say, I can't talk about it here. I can only talk about it in a skiff. But I can say this. I don't really have to say that. That's classified under that. I don't really have to talk about that. I can't talk about that. And it's going to be a loop of BS. I mean, you can see that coming a mile away. What is the goal? You know, people who don't willingly want to do it are going to find ways to not talk about it. I think you subpoena the people that have been open about podcasts on podcasts. Let's subpoena Lukatsky. Let's subpoena, Lazar. Let's subpoena these people who have been open on podcasts and talked about these things, and then get all their reports. And Jay Stratton's another one. Subpoena him. Subpoena Carl Nell. Subpoena all them. The people who have been talking on podcasts about all these different things. Subpoena people that Grush has spoken to, that spoke to him about these things. Never mind people who who haven't talked about these and you never heard about them and aren't going to say things because they're protecting the shield. Now, the same answer goes for those people too. Whether it's Lukatsky, Stratton, they're going to say the same thing. If they don't want to get themselves in trouble, they're going to go, well, I can't talk about that here. That's classified. I have this. I have that. I can't speak about that. It's classified. So I think, I hate to say it, because I've been such an advocate of the government pursuing this, because I thought after that 2023 hearing it was really going to do stuff. But I think this is a dead end, guys. I think this whole thing is a dead end. I think that Laszlo report the other day really made me think that he's probably right, that there's nothing that this special forces or that they're running this task force. There's nothing they're going to accomplish. There's nothing that they're going to do. You don't even hear from Burchett anymore with this. I think he pretty much gave up on it too. You never hear him. And I guess a couple of weeks ago we talked about how he wanted to get whistleblowers protection, but you and I say that too. I think we have as much power at this point as they do when it comes to this. So this has to come from somewhere else. This has to come from the leaks, and I think that as they say, catastrophic disclosure, that's the only way this works now. It is. This is all nonsense that everything that, and I was optimistic on it, but I still feel, and what I won't do, because I think that's what people do is that, and you've seen people who were big UAP advocates and then because they felt they were slighted and didn't agree with the way it was going, they became skeptics. Do they really believe that they're skeptics? No, but I believe that they just felt like they got slighted. So now they're, you can be pessimistic. You cannot think, you can have confidence in a lot of stuff. I don't have confidence. I've talked about it many times on this show. I don't have confidence in government for the majority of things. I certainly have lost confidence in them on this. I had a lot of confidence when it seemed how unified they were in 2023 and how it was such a bipartisan thing in that hearing. It was beautiful to see, but we're just not at that part in our country. I don't know what country you're watching this from, but in our country, this is just not a bipartisan country. So to have them agree on anything, much less this, and trying to figure out and come to unity and say, look, we need to find out what's really going on. I know it's a pessimistic point of view right now. It is. And I know, and I've seen some of your comments too. Oh, it's negative, blah, blah. It's not necessarily a negative. It's pessimistic right now. And it's not to say that every video will be that way, and it's not to say that every topic will be held that way. For example, when I saw the video that they showed and seeing what that could potentially be with the Tomahawk missile and those things, I'm hopeful that we'll get more kind of clear-cut footage. But then, then for every video like that, it's still grainy and stuff. But then you get the purple mantis alien thing, and you gotta wait for the thing to drop. And I don't know what it is. I think it's the reason that I'm continuously always paying attention and always looking up on what's happening in this topic. I feel like something's gonna pop. I feel like something's going to happen. Something's going to drop. Somebody's going to say, all right, enough is enough. I'm going to release this footage. I found a way to scrub my name away from it. I'm going to release this thing. This is about as clear cut as it gets. And that's how it happens. And getting someone on board, because that Tomahawk missile video did prove that if you show a little bit of a potential of, wait a minute, what the hell is that? And do it in enough big of a platform, the media outlets will cover it. And I didn't think that was necessarily true. So there's a little optimism for you. They covered that video. And when they initially reported it, I said, nobody's covering it. I saw it everywhere. And not just on the internet. I saw it everywhere. As I said, so the way my test is, okay, before I go to sleep, my wife, we're watching the news, and something pops, we watch the rundown of the stories of what's happening. We watch the normal news, and we try to watch more of it's not like opinion-based shows that are taking one point of view to the next. It's just about, here are the stories of the day, what's happening. That's the kind of news that we watch. And I was like, okay, if they show that, then maybe that moved. And they did. And they showed it. It was one of the last ones, and it was a quicker story, but they covered it. But that's what needs to happen. Real footage to just, without a shadow of a doubt, going, what is that? How do you deny that? And I think I don't know why. Call me an optimist. I think that's going to happen. I don't think that this subpoena stuff is A, going to happen, and B, should happen. I think the hearings should stop doing them. Unless Burchett comes through and you get that protection for those whistleblowers, and there's actually a real budget behind this thing, and they're really taking it serious, no more hearings. Again, this one was better than last year's, but it did nothing. It's a bummer. I know. I'm with you. But it is what it is. What do you think about it? Do you think that the subpoenas could help, should help? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. I appreciate you being here, as always. Make sure you click that like button, subscribe, all that and more. All right. See you on the flip side.